we're gonna start with the coveted, the infamous at this point, Madam Web. And
Yep.
you know, we talked about this before we started recording, that, is there much of a point to even talking about this movie, because it is so widely known that it is a horribly bad, boring movie.
I do think it's somewhat important, because there are people who are not going to see this out of principle, and we are going to give them the specific reasons why it's not good. So
and I went into the movie, I knew that a lot of people didn't like it, and I was not expecting to love it, but I tried to go into it with, no expectations. And if anything, the lowest expectations.
Well, here's my expectations. I saw the headline that was like, this is the perfect like sleepover movie, because it's like so stupid you could like have fun with your friends and like just have a good time. But it is not that movie. No. I don't think it's not. And I that was my expectation going in, that it was going to be a stupid, like bad, good time movie, but it was just a boring, really bad movie.
Because there was a group of like 5 friends in front of me when I watched it, and they were having a good time at the beginning, but very slowly it just got so quiet, and you could just see everybody just is like restless, and like like I get restless. Like when we saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I
had that exact feeling.
Oh my God, I want to get out of here. But, I will say there's times where it is the bad movie for sleepovers. There are moments.
There's moments. You're right. But it's not enough.
Because it's just really not. It's just boring.
To me, it's a lot of like small bad decisions that like add up throughout the movie that like just make this really bad. Like I mean, like the first glaring one was the first like jungle scene. I couldn't believe how bad the native people looked, and how bad they ran through the trees. I mean,
but even before that, so you get Ezekiel Sims and then Cassandra Webb's mother, and I don't know if we know all the motivations of Ezekiel Sims wanting his spider in the first place.
It's just he came from rough times, and now he wants power. That's it.
Okay,
that's it.
Well, it wasn't very well explained, I will say.
No. I mean,
some of the worst ADR dubbing I have ever seen.
Oh my God! Right.
In my life. There's literal scenes in this movie, starting from the Amazon, where characters' mouths are not moving, or they're saying completely different words.
Yeah.
Which, sometimes is the case with ADR, but it was so glaringly obvious.
There's multiple scenes like that. The one I noticed the most was when he
flat.
Yeah, when he was at his desk talking to like his assistant, like there was multiple times where it did not match what he was like moving his mouth for, and I was like, "Oh man, dude!"
And I'm like, and the whole time, I'm like, could the actual take, because this is consistent with his character, there's not many scenes where you actually see him talk that's not ADR dubbed. It's like, I swear to God, there's probably more ADR dubbed than actually seeing him talk.
Yep.
And I'm like, it could not have been. I want to know why it had to be ADR dubbed so much, because it's like, why the original take, could it really be that bad?
Right.
Or like, were they trying to change
I think
script?
It's just, there were so many rewrites. Like it had to have been that. I mean, because and I think it's pretty obvious that they scrubbed the Spider-Man out of this movie. Like there is no reason for Ben Parker to be in this movie. It's just he could be anybody, genuinely.
Oh yeah, like, and he can't even say May.
He can't say May. He didn't even say Peter. Yeah. They didn't say Peter, even though he was born on the night the movie happens. So yeah, it's a mess. I also hated the fact that like she was born in the Peruvian Amazon or whatever it was, and her mother dies there, but somehow the natives like take her back to the United States and like get her a birth certificate and like preserve all that shit that her mom had. And you're like, why wouldn't they just raise her? If that guy stayed there when she went back, and later in the movie and was like, I made a promise to your mom. Like, why would that promise not be like, I'm going to raise your daughter and like train her to use her powers?
Yeah. And I'd also be like, if I was Cassandra, I'd be like, so you put me in the foster system?
Right. Like, what kind of horrible plan was this? Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, have we not seen enough movies about orphans and that being a really terrible thing? Like,
right.
But, and even I know, like, I'm just talking about the Amazon scene, but it was when they're arguing, I swear to God, Ian, every single time it would cut to each one of us, like Ezekiel and his mom, zoom in. It'd be like, it would be Ezekiel, and then it would zoom in, and then it would zoom out, and then it would go to Cassandra, and it would zoom out, and then it would zoom in. And I'm like, what's with all the fucking zooms?
Yeah.
It's not making the scene more interesting. I will tell you that. Like, it's not.
It's not. It really isn't. But yeah, I mean, for me, the more glaring parts of this bad movie was the plot. I mean, like,
oh yeah,
I think like when you get to like she's a paramedic in New York, that's really where it gets like so boring.
The fucking ambulance scene, like just when you meet them, and they're like, "Oh my God, I haven't been in a car this fast," and I'm like, this looks like the slowest like ambulance car chase scene I've ever. I was like, there is no momentum. That ambulance looks like it's going 20 miles per hour down the streets. Honestly,
yeah, it really did. Also, how did you love that line of her saying to Ben, "What, you've never been shot at in Queens?" That's a really good one, huh?
I didn't even pick it up. No.
Yeah, no, it was in that same scene where they're like, they introduce Ben to you and like, and he's like, oh, I've been shot at like once or something. And I don't know. I don't remember how it starts, but yeah, no, it was.
Oh, is that supposed to be like a reference to him
getting shot? Yeah. In Spider-Man. Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was like, you were referring to it as being like potentially very racist or something.
No. But yeah, like so they take a little bit to get to the part where like she falls in the water and like dies for a minute, and that's when she like gets all her Madam Web abilities because she died or something. But then like the movie, it's like takes such a drastic like halt. You like basically she goes through like 5 different scenarios, like where she's like reliving the same moment before she realizes like what's really going on. And you're just like, oh my God, how many times do I need to see this? Like you realize that you're going through something for you to like get it to click. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm
not gonna lie. Like I'll say one of the things that I did like about the movie is I thought that the way that they were handling her, like these visions, like things would happen and then they would happen again. And she's like, wait a second. I did think that some of them were actually done kind of well. And
sure.
And so like, it actually didn't bother me the way that the thing that bothered me.
I think it wouldn't have bothered me if it wasn't so many times.
Okay.
I think it was just so repetitive for me.
Sure. But I think what got me really, because I thought that the ambulance, like when she eventually, like her captain, like dies and gets hit by that car. First of all, I felt nothing.
No, yeah.
They tried to make it seem like it was this really like emotional point in the movie.
Was that the same guy from the barbecue?
Yes.
Who that was supposed to be? Okay. Yeah. So you meet him for like a minute.
Felt nothing.
Yeah.
But
you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, right. but I was like, I thought that was still done somewhat well, at least like the flashing between things. And like, I was like, but what drove me crazy was, first of all, what time of the year do you think that this movie takes place?
The summer?
Yes. So, right. So it's somewhat warm. Okay. Tell me why, for none other than heavy-handed trying to make a moment for the audience to learn something that we already know. is she watching A Christmas Carol in the middle of fucking summer? It's because, do you remember she's on the couch and Scrooge is like, oh, I can't actually change anything. They're the way that I'm like, I get it. I get it. And it doesn't make any sense while you're watching a Christmas movie in the fucking summer.
No, but the symbolism is there. You got to use Scrooge.
It's, it is so lazy. I swear it is like, okay. And then lifts up the window. Oh, this couldn't actually happen that the bird would live, but let me try.
Yeah.
Okay, the bird lives. That's all you needed to do. Hey. But no, you had to say, I guess you didn't die, or whatever the fuck she said. I'm like, oh.
Look, I got to give props, though. They used a real bird. Remember? I shout on Echo for this. It looked like they used a real pigeon, and I'm like, props, Sony. We got birds back.
Fine. We got a living bird. But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was like, God, do they think we're idiots? Because I swear to God, like, and also the characters are fucking stupid.
They're one, it's a lot of bad acting. I didn't believe that the actresses that playing the teenage girls were anything close to those personalities. I don't know. It just it didn't scream like Sydney Sweeney being the shy schoolgirl. I didn't believe it.
No, but I liked the two other girls. The two other girls, I was like, I kind of like them. But Sydney Sweeney, I was like,
what are their names? Can you remember their names? I can't remember.
No, I don't know. Yeah, right. But Sydney Sweeney, I was like, there is no way that I buy that you are this shy, bookish. Right. And then she's like wearing the shortest skirt and the worst wig I've seen in a movie. Like, goddamn, that wig looked terrible.
You know what pisses me off? She talked about this. She talked about this one scene, as an actress, where she argued to have her coming down from the ceiling, where her feet were above her head, so basically doing the iconic pose for that character.
Yeah,
and you really don't get to see it. You see half of her, but you see her head coming, her hair's coming down, but you don't see the full pose. And I was like, they didn't even get one of the coolest parts of this movie in it, which is just so like this movie to do that. But and then the dynamics between the girls and Madam Web just didn't make any sense. They were already angry at each other before they even really even knew who each other were. And I'm like, you're all being hunted down. You think you would maybe throw off your attitude to work together in this situation, but I don't know. It just wasn't authentic at all.
I mean, and to be fair, I don't know how much of the script is the problem. And they're just this is I can't do anything with this script, right? And because there's just multiple things the taxi scene where she's driving the girls and it's no music, nothing.
Yeah.
It is
they start throwing some 2000s music in there later in the movie.
Sure, but that scene is going on for 5-6 minutes of them just talking in the taxi, trying to have this really tense moment. But it's the flattest, slowest moment, and I'm like, oh my God, this dialogue is garbage.
Yeah. And by the way, let's talk about this taxi, because she drives this taxi the entire movie, and it is very clearly damaged, stolen taxi. And she drives it to the airport. She leaves it at the airport for over a week, and she still has the taxi when she comes back.
How is she a wanted woman in New York City and is able in the prime of
right after 9/11,
right after she's able to get on a plane and fly internationally to and from America.
Left a stolen car at the airport. Yeah. She's good. She doesn't have anything to worry about.
And also Cassandra Webb as a character, she's like,
what a horrible name, by the way.
Yeah. I'm kind of awkward. I don't like social situations, but I'm also like really mean and want everyone to shut up.
Right.
And
the black teenager too. She was so mean to everybody. And I'm what is the point of you being mean right now? Like you're not bringing anything to this group. You're awful.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I, oh my God, there's just so many things. There's just so many. And like, here's the thing. Yeah. Like, I don't want to blame it on one particular thing. I don't even know. I just feel like there's blame to go all around.
I think, you have to blame Sony. You have to blame the director. You have to blame the writer. You have to blame the actresses. Like and the actor who played, the villain I can't even name. But
like the Ezekiel Sims, like.
Yeah, that's his name.
I wonder, like, here's the thing. I'm sure everybody who signed on to this movie wanted to make a good movie.
Right.
Something happened. And here's the first thing that was wrong. They hired the same writers who made
Morbius,
The Last Witch Hunter, who made Gods of Egypt, made Morbius, all super low rated bad movies. And like you said, did Morbius.
Yep.
Horrible, memeable movie that Sony just went, yep, let's hire them again. And so right from the beginning, you have this horrible marriage conception of like Sony just not caring enough with this idea for a character that's like, let's completely change who Madam Web is.
Right. Because she's not anything close to the age of Madam Web.
And let's hire these writers who keep making horrible movies time after time.
And the way they wrote it is so frustrating because like you get their, like, everyone obviously wants to see the superheroes in costume fighting at the end. We don't get that. No. And the only time we ever get them in costume is a dream sequence and a flash forward into the future.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Which is at the very end of the movie for like 30 seconds. So like, what was the point? Like, I feel like the whole point of this movie was to set up a sequel.
Yeah.
And I was like nobody's going to want to see a sequel of this.
It was, marketing, just false advertising.
So bad too.
False advertising though. None of that's really in the movie.
No.
Not the way that they make it seem.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely, I mean, like, at the most, I want like 5 minutes of a fight scene with them in costume. I think that's all I'm asking for. And it doesn't seem that hard to give us. But and we don't even get any of their origins. Like, you only get Madam Web's origin. You don't get any of the Spider-Woman origins.
They kind of tell you like, oh, my parents are gone. My parents are gone. My parents are gone.
But like, not how they get their powers. Like, they all get powers in the future. And you have no idea how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And also, like, when I watched, I was like, so what? Okay, let's say that this was like a smash success. What was the plan? First of all, you don't see how they get their powers, just like you said.
Right.
You just get a flash forward to like when she's blind now and they're still teenagers. But like, were you like, what was the idea? Like, oh yeah, we'll have Madam Web in a wheelchair and she'll astral project because that's something she can do. And we'll have these 3 girls and maybe we'll call it a different movie. But I'm like, what a weird way to set up a universe. Because this isn't even attached to Venom or anything.
It's not. I mean, like, I guess if you wanted to, you could like make up age like Dakota Johnson and get her to look older, like 20 years older if you wanted to. And then like maybe recast all of the 3 teenagers as like adult women and like have it go from there and maybe like jump into the Morbius Venom universe that's happening, but like it doesn't make sense. I think they had plans to make this a part of like a Spider-Man universe that they were wanting to start, and that just did not work at all because of their horrible planning. So I don't know what the original plan was. I would assume it's that, but they're terrible at planning, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I could point out a million other things. I think one that like really bothers me is the line with great power comes great responsibility. They like butchered the hell out of that with the native guy.
If you accept responsibility, great power will come.
Oh God, I rolled my eyes so hard when he said that. And I'm like, this dude speaks perfect English. He doesn't even have an accent. Like, how is he a native? I don't know. It's just like there's just so many small things that add up to being terrible.
Why is Ezekiel, first of all, okay. Why is Ezekiel Sims, I see him in the movie jump stories down, do superhero landing, fine. Yeah. Why is he scared that he will be pushed out a window? Like, that's not going to kill it. We see him jump stories down.
Well, I mean, but that seemed like 30 stories, right? I don't know. That seems a little hard to survive. I feel you. He got hit with an ambulance and survived. So,
you know, like,
yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense. Why is he barefoot all the time?
Was he barefoot? I didn't even notice.
He was barefoot like all the time, Ian.
How did I not notice that?
I was like, why are you barefoot? Why?
Like in his own apartment or what?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And walking out in the world barefoot.
Huh.
Never explained. Just so weird.
Odd. Yeah, very odd.
And then I'm sure the actor is, I think I remember people saying like he's really good in this thing, but I'm sorry.
No, he's not. He's terrible.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want to put it all on the actor. It could be. But it could be also the directing. It could also be the fact that they ADR'd everything. And I'm like, it's the flattest ADR I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Right. Like, I believe that Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney can be good actresses, but they were not in this movie. You know, like, I don't think anybody was helped out. Right. The script, the directing, I'm sure it was all, horrible. So,
because like obviously Pepsi was sponsoring this movie.
Calvin Klein too.
And so somebody decided, and so the writers think, oh, let's have a huge S from the Pepsi sign kill our villain.
Well, the S started it and the P killed him. So oh man.
Okay. I didn't even notice that. See, that's so stupid.
Yeah, and so that's why the S was there in that original like Madam Web, whatever awakening sequence.
Yeah,
right, yeah. And she just wants to go home and watch Idol. That's all she wants to do.
Yeah, she just wants to watch Idol. And I totally forgot that Emma Roberts is in this fucking movie.
Yeah, I totally forgot too. I was like, wow, you're a really small part of this. Okay.
And here's the other stupid thing. There's so many things wrong with the script, but like particularly when Emma Roberts like breaks her water and we know that the girls should not leave the house.
Why would they go?
Why would you not just leave them there?
I said that during the movie. I was like, what are you doing?
Like literally nothing would happen. You would have the baby just fine. You don't need them to come.
Yeah. And why does everyone leave their car running in New York? Apparently, like the ambulance, the taxi, like keys in the ignition. You're just let's just go. We're good.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. Like to me that scene was so flawed in a sense because like they can't go into the house, so they're just standing at the door. There's no way they don't hear this woman like get in the car and like start it. I don't know. It just seems so like every turn you make in this movie, there's a weak ass choice, and it's just so disappointing.
Like and also the CPR scene.
Oh my god! Wait, which one? Are you saying
both?
Well, so there's
particularly
there's the first one.
The first one.
Okay, where she's pumping on the guy who's bleeding. Yeah, that makes no sense. Well, I mean, I'm just
no.
I mean.
No, the one where she's teaching the girls how to do CPR.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, you're a good teacher. Yeah. I was like, I don't think I've ever said this before. I was like, come on. She's barely teaching you. Like
it's like oh my God, it is the longest, cringiest, and dumbest way to, first of all, we all know if we're anywhere like well-read and understanding of how movies work, this will happen later.
Right.
they're going to use this later.
Yep.
Second, they're trying to build like, oh, this great moment where we're together and we love it and we're happy together. But it's so flat and so like, it's just so unexciting. And like, everyone's just like, oh yeah, cool.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I'm getting tired. Okay, I'll jump
I was like,
in.
after 20 seconds, you're getting tired? Okay.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like I've done practice CPR and 20 seconds can be doing like this. Okay. It can be a little, right. Pushing on a full ass body. But
I'll take your word for it.
But like it was just so flat. And I was like, it's so obvious what you're trying to do, but there's no chemistry here at all.
No.
And the whole idea of it, I'm just like, if you're gonna have this idea, you gotta have some good like dialogue or something to make us like think that this is like a moment where you guys are like bonding. And
then they had that really cheesy moment at the end where like the nurse comes in and she's like, "Are you guys immediate family?" And she's like, "Yep, they're mine." And I'm like, "Oh, come on."
And she looks so goofy with those glasses at the end.
She does. I know they're like the signature glasses, but like
they're just like not everything has to.
Right. You got to give us the actual comic accurate every time. No. But I would have liked it, I guess, in a sense, to be more comic accurate, because what we got here was just dog shit.
Yeah, because like she's an interesting character as like a secondary character.
Yeah.
Or just like a being that propels plot.
Right.
But this,
like, I don't want to like, I don't know. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I think this character could be like a main character movie type. But the way they wrote it was just the wrong decision at every turn.
Yeah. I mean, like I was seeing like Boss Logic made a post about it and was like, if this wasn't a superhero movie, it could actually be like a somewhat more interesting movie. And I was, and when I was watching it, like the power to see the future and different outcomes is like, there could be an interesting character with that.
Sorry, go on.
Like at the end, so we've been seeing her do her powers this entire time. And we've seen it visually shown to us, maybe a little too much. But the time where I understand what they're doing. We're under the understanding that like she's able to block all these fireworks and things in real time because she's seeing the future.
Right.
So I understand that. But the time of the movie where it would be most visually and cinematically interesting to see those powers happen, they were not shown. And then we have an astral projection of her trying to save the girls, who then the villain just goes after Madam Web for I don't know why.
The villain does that multiple times though. He lands right in front of the girls in the metro, punches every cop. He walks into the diner, punches a dude at a booth for no reason. And I'm like, just go for the girls. Like, what are you doing? This is your whole goal. It's just terrible. It was just terrible. I was shocked when you texted that it was worse than Morbius.
I do think it's worse than Morbius.
I would agree, because I think Morbius, you could have a stupid, funny, bad time with that movie. But this one, it's not possible.
Yeah, I know some people, like, I still think that the Madam Web rating is higher than Morbius currently. But like,
I think the last time I saw it, it was tied. So I don't know what it's at right now.
Okay.
But
I mean, I could watch Morbius again because at least it was like vampires and like there were some cool scenes. Like I like the ship scene, and like there was things that like I actually like Matt Smith, even though he does some goofy things. Like I still like Matt Smith, and
I'm not a fan of him in that movie at all.
Sure, but like the dialogue is not nearly as bad. It's just a boring movie, And I have the dance scene. And
that's what I think. Yeah, that's like the funniest part of the movie. So the song that's there is so funny. Like my friends and I play that just out of nowhere sometimes. It's great. It's great. Yeah.
And this isn't like,
yeah,
I want to shit on Madam Web because like I hate female characters. Like, no.
It was
just a fucking terrible movie.
It's just a bad movie in every aspect.
It's not even like you said, like it's not even the movie that like you're like, okay, this is so bad that it's good.
Right.
It's fun to watch. It's like it's just like it's like a bore. It's like a chore. It's a
chore. Yeah. I think if it was like maybe half an hour shorter, like I could feel closer to that. Yeah. But for some reason, 2 hours of this movie just dragged. It just dragged. Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the line, but it was like so ridiculously stupid when Ezekiel Sims is having like a nightmare, and all you hear is my spider. They took my spider. Where is my spider? And I was like, what is that? Like, first of all, I never
Why do you
got
need the spider anymore?
Yeah. I was like, why do you need the spider anymore?
Right.
You know, and I was like, okay, is this something in the backstory in the comics that like you're trying to bring to the script? Because we never learned like, he needs his spider.
Yeah. No one ever tries to steal the spider. So.
No one tries to steal. Nobody. Why did the Spider Women kick him out of the window? Why did their first thing have to be murder?
I think we'll find that out in the sequel, Zach. Okay.
But speaking of sequels, which like I know you're gonna talk about something,
right.
But like Craven, I think Craven looks, at least really one part of it looks bad.
No, I think most of it looks pretty bad. Yeah.
But like, I was hearing somebody say, just like how Warner Brothers has been writing things for off for tax purposes, they have probably done more damage to their next few movies by releasing this than if they just like, you know what, let's just collect some money, let's just do this as a tax write-off or something.
That is kind of like a good segue into kind of the news around this. I think what's happened is like the Sony saw the writing on the wall, like the wall with this movie, and I think even before it came out, like they were already like I guess rerouting their plans. So we got news. Basically, the Silk Spider Society. I think it's a show that was being developed. They have fired the entire writers' room except the showrunner, and are now saying it's going to be skewed towards a male audience. I think that is directly related to this movie because I think in a sense, like, because it's an all-female cast, they believe that they were trying to, I guess, provide for the female audience. And I think, I don't know how well like a Silk Spider Society is going to be received at all. Like, has that character earned their own series when we've never seen them in like anything Spider-Man related? Probably not. But the other like news is that Nicolas Cage might be involved now with the Spider-Man Noir series that's coming out, which in my mind sounds like they're trying to build more off of the like the Spider-Verse movies, which I think definitely makes sense if this universe you're building has gone downhill so fast. Like, I don't see a salvageable way when like your last two movies have tanked terribly. So I think there are some definitely repercussions from the fallout of this movie. I don't know if you agree, but it seems like that's what's happening.
I think that if you're going to orient a female character, it's Silk, right?
Yeah.
To a male, to make it more male oriented, I think that sounds like a bad idea. And
I think you're just gonna end up objectifying that woman, right?
Yeah,
right.
So, and also, women like superheroes. Women are a larger part of the population than men, and they aren't
a larger part of the population of like comic book movie watchers.
But if
I will say that.
But if you want to make a like if you make a project that's like that a girl's like that like speaks to me, I guarantee, like I think they're gonna think it's cool and they're gonna want to watch it. And I think the fact that if you are like, oh, let's make this female character more cool and oriented towards guys, I think just I don't know what their plans are, but right off the bat, I'm like, Sony, that sounds like a really terrible idea. And
it definitely sounds like they're like just skewing like the complete opposite direction of what they're right. Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, there's a lot of people who would be, I think, would be perfectly fine with that. Like with it being more towards the female perspective. And like, honestly, there should be more of it. But if you want to make it for monetary reasons and shift completely, like, I don't know, maybe they're shifting and it's a good thing because maybe what they have is not good.
I mean, it definitely isn't good.
But, well, we don't know.
Oh, you mean for Silk in general?
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Right.
So, but like, just hearing that, I'm like, that seems like a bad idea. But I mean, I think we talked a little bit, or at least like you and I have talked a little bit about the Spider-Man noir series.
It could be a movie. I can't totally remember. Let me see.
But I mean,
it's a series. Yep.
It's you know, the Spider-Verse is super hot. I think a lot of like we already had talked about that there's a Spider-Woman like movie in the works or potentially in the works with Haley Steinfeld. And you know, I would love to see Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir. That would be great.
He's the voice I want behind that character. Even if I never see Nicolas Cage in general, I would love to just have him voice the character. Yeah. You know?
And I mean, the only thing I would be a little wary about is he's a great secondary character that's good for like comedic bits.
Right.
I don't know how much of a, just like with all of these characters that they're trying to make their own series out of.
Right.
The way that they've portrayed thus far, it could be really good, but thus far, Spider-Man Noir, it's very kind of 1 to 2 note character of like, I'm serious and I'm black and white and I'm from another time. You know, it's like, I get it. And it's funny at times.
Yeah,
but
they'll have to go way more serious and in depth, I think, for a series to work. You know?
Yeah. So it's possible. I mean, like Batman in the Lego Batman movie was very like, I'm Batman.
Sure,
like,
sure.
That's
but it
funny.
Was comedic, right?
And then they make the Lego Batman movie, which I've only seen part of.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
But people said it was really good. So, you know, it can be done, but
it'll be tough. Yeah. I think any Spider-Man project they put out going forward will be a challenge, except for things directly related to the Spider-Verse or a Tom Holland movie.
Yeah.
So, they got their work cut out for them for sure. I don't know where they go going forward at this point.
I don't even know what they do with Craven. There's a 50-50 chance in my mind that I'm like, they might just cancel it. They might do a tax write-off.
No, I mean,
they
here's
might.
The thing. But I'm sure they spent a lot of money on that movie. I don't think you would make up the money. I think you got to risk it and like put it in theaters, you know, especially with Aaron Taylor Johnson attached. I think people will show up to the theater for him a little bit. But I don't know how long that will last. So we'll see. We've been going on Spider-Man for quite a long time.
Okay.
So,
I don't even know how long we've been talking about it.
About 40 minutes, you know.
Holy shit.
But you know, it's all good. So I say we move on to our second topic. I think that's all our thoughts, right? On Madam Web and all the Spider-Man stuff. Terrible.